That series for the Washington Nationals did not go as planned, but one thing has shined through all season long, and that was exposed in yesterday's game.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And yes, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. And yeah, Locked On Nationals is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. And later on in today's show, we'll have a Giants Nats preview as the Nationals head out west. And it's going to be an interesting series. So, and of course, the Giants, they have also been struggling as of late. We'll have that preview later on in the show today. And in the second segment, one of the Nationals' top prospects, Jarlin Susana, has returned to AA. And when he returned last night, he dominated. So let's talk about the future of Jarlin Susana and what exactly you have to look forward to that will be in Nationals Park next season. But in yesterday's game, and really overall this season, one thing has stood true for the Washington Nationals, and they need a right-handed power bat. And as much as the A's aren't that good, they even acknowledge that after the game. But today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. So yesterday, the Washington Nationals lost the series against the Oakland A's. They lost 6-0, and the Nationals now sit at 45-69, fifth in the NL East. And this team, it's a bad one. Unfortunately, this season is a wash at this point. I thought the Nationals might be able to contend this year. That has not been the case. But speaking of being in contention, one of the missing pieces for the Washington Nationals at this point is a right-handed power bat. And the Oakland A's catcher said as much going up against a left-handed pitcher yesterday with their lefty stud at this point, Jacob Lopez. He's been really good as of late. And I thought the A's catcher said something really interesting after the game. And this was the quote that he had to say. When we saw their lineup had 6 lefties in it, we're like, all right, we'll have a good day today. The Washington Nationals this offseason, they need to get a lot of talent in this building. But their number one priority should be getting a right-handed power bat. This offseason, they tried to get Paul DeJong, and that was kind of like their flyer one-year move. And let's see if you can kind of catch lightning in a bottle here and chip him off the deadline. Ultimately for him, he broke his nose, was on the IL for a couple of months there, finally came back last month, and hasn't really looked the part for what we expected him to do. He has not been hitting for power, and really overall, the Nationals' right-handed batter situation, it's pretty bleak. And if you look down at the farm system also, there's not many guys that can come up next season and help you immediately. There's a man like Yo-Yo Morales, who has been okay at times. He's a Nats number 14 prospect, a first base/third base. But even then, he has not been killing the ball in Rochester either. He has a 727 OPS. He's been a fine hitter, but even then, he's not going to be the answer to what the Nationals need. The Nationals need a good, veteran, right-handed bat to help kind of break out these lefties a little bit. Some of the issues with the Nationals at this point, in my opinion, I talked about it a lot earlier on in the season, was the lineup construction. You see, just for yesterday, look at this. C.J. Abrams, a lefty. James Wood, a lefty. Paul DeJong, a righty. Luis Garcia, lefty. Riley Adams, righty. Nathaniel O, lefty. Dalen Lyle, lefty. Jacob Young, righty. Robert Hassel III, a lefty. The Nationals have to figure that out eventually. You have to somehow, some way, get a right-handed power bat through this door. And now, luckily for the Nationals, there are a couple names on the market for free agency this offseason where you could potentially go after one of them. But also, let's be honest here. The Nationals are not going to be fishing in this big-time veteran market. We expect the Nationals to go bargain shopping yet again. And quite frankly, you might make the argument that they probably should. The time for the Nationals to spend and to really go all in was this past offseason. Well, after this one, you may expect the Nationals to sell Mackenzie Gore this offseason. You may expect them to maybe explore a Luis Garcia Jr. trade. Who knows what the Nationals could do this offseason? If someone were to tell me that they'll go in and spend a little bit and try to improve this team, I guess I would kind of believe that. But if you also told me this offseason, they trade Mackenzie Gore, they trade Luis Garcia Jr., they don't extend CJ Abrams, I would also believe that. And honestly, I'd probably believe that more than the previous situation prior to that. The Nationals need a right-handed power bat. It has been so clear and so evident right now. And again, there are some big-name guys who have been really good. Pete Alonso as a player option. I think some people around baseball do expect him to opt out and potentially get that big contract that he's been looking for. And if the Mets do make a World Series run, I fully expect him to opt out of this contract and sign a major contract for someone who is looking for a right-handed power bat. Marcell Ozuna, who has kind of resurrected his career over the past 2 seasons. I expect him to have a pretty player-friendly market at 35 years old. Some team might be looking to give him a 2-3 year deal to come in and be their DH and be a right-handed power bat. Maybe that's what the Nationals could be shopping for at this point. But right now, will the Nationals actually realize what they need? And will the Nationals actually follow through with what they need? Because the Nationals knew what they needed this offseason. They just needed talent. You didn't really add too much talent. The couple guys you added in the bullpen, Colin Poche, gone after the first month of the season. Lucas Sims, gone after the first month of the season. Jorge Lopez, after the first few months of the season, gone, DFA'd. I'm not sure I have too much faith. Now, I will say this will be a completely different regime, and whoever comes in the building, whether it's Mike DiBartolo stating that he's going to be the guy moving forward, or it's just a new guy coming in, they're going to want to make some sort of sexy move to try to kind of feel themselves out a little bit. But one thing that does give me a little hope, if it is Mike DiBartolo, he said something to Barry Svrluga of the Washington Post yesterday that, honestly, I've been waiting for. And this is the quote that Mike DiBartolo had to say. Quote, "What we use the next 7 weeks for, we want to evaluate our young players, see which players can be part of those future successful Nationals teams. That's where our focus is." That gives me hope that he actually understands what's going on here. And that right now, you don't need to go out there and say, we're going to go 1-0 in every day. Stop it. No one needs to go 1-0 every day. I'm tired of hearing go 1-0 in every day. That was years ago. That was 6 years ago where you say, go 1-0 today and figure out the rest tomorrow. And bumpy roads lead to beautiful places. Well, also sometimes bumpy roads lead to crappy places. And right now we're in a crappy place. How about that quote? I feel as if DiBartolo kind of gets it. And he actually understands what's going on here. These next 7 weeks should be a tryout for what the future is. Robert Hassel should be giving every opportunity to go out there and succeed. Dalen Lyle should be given every opportunity to go out there and succeed. If it means calling up Yohandy Morales and DFAing a Nathaniel Lowe at this point, by all means do it. Because really, if we're looking at Nathaniel Lowe at this point, he might get non-tender this offseason. It would not surprise me whatsoever. They need to change things up. And luckily enough, I do believe the guy calling the shots for baseball operations with Mike DiBartolo, at least at this point in time, he understands what's going on here. He understands the big picture. He knows that these next 7 weeks should be about giving these young guys opportunities. And if that means calling up Yohandy Morales again to try to figure out if the Nationals can get a right-handed power bat in this building, then so be it. Make some roster moves and make a decision, and let's see what the young kid can do. Because to go back to what we were originally talking about here, the A's catcher said it all yesterday. And I know we've all said it all season long. But after the game, Quote, when we saw their lineup had 6 lefties in it, we're like, all right, we'll have a good day today. And surely enough, they did. The A's pitching staff, which is not a very good one, held the Nationals to 3 hits and shut down this Nationals offense. The Nats need a right-handed power bat to break things up, to protect James Wood, to protect some of your younger pieces here. Hopefully, the interim GM or the Nats' new GM will understand that this offseason, and they'll actually go and attack that and try to make this team just a little bit better moving forward. And if they can do that, kudos to them. But until they will, we'll see what they do. And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And speaking of the future, the Nationals, they have got one arm that is back in Double-A, and he is making a difference already. It is 21-year-old Jarlin Susana. Let's talk about the kid because he has been ultimately very, very good so far since his return off the IL. We'll discuss that after this. And yes, have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize that you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress, and with the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Gametime makes it all possible, and Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. The other day, I was walking up to the Nationals game. In fact, it was yesterday, right before first pitch. I opened up my Gametime app. I saw their Gametime Flash Zone deals, and I picked the best seats in the house for me, again, on a deal. And you can see the views from your seats right from your phone before you purchase. Make sure there's no obstruction or anything like that. And also just gets you ready for game time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime and download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Yes, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me on Twitter at RyanClary11, and also look up Locked On Nationals wherever you get your podcasts, and especially over on YouTube. Again, look up Locked On Nationals. We're the only video content for the Washington Nationals. And later on in the show today, we've got a preview as the Nationals head out to the Bay Area against the San Francisco Giants tonight. Always a fun time, in my opinion. I love that stadium. I haven't been there, but I love watching games from there. The views are immaculate. And again, the Nationals have a tough task going up against these Giants tonight. But speaking of a tough task, it is always a tough task going up against the Nationals' number 2 prospect right now, Jarlin Susana. The 21-year-old right-hander is back from the IL, and in his first start back at Double-A yesterday, officially done with all of his rehab assignments, in which he looked really good in, by the way. Well, yesterday in his first start, went 4 2/3 innings pitched, back at Double-A. He touched 102 miles per hour multiple times over, and also in 2 of his strikeouts, reaching 102 miles per hour. This guy is a special talent. And again, we are in the month of August right now. There's not too much to care about by a day-by-day basis for this Washington Nationals team. But every 5 days down in the minors, this is one guy to watch because, number one, has he come back healthy, and he has come back a flamethrower still. Jarlin Susana is someone who will help this Nationals team in 2026 and beyond, hopefully. The stuff that Susana has at this point is simply unfair. And when you talk about some of the best prospects and best pitching prospects in all of baseball, we've always talked about Travis Secor and how special he is. There was a time earlier this season where I was even thinking you could see him up potentially in September. But unfortunately for him, has been shut down and will be undergoing Tommy John surgery in just a few days. But you still have Jarlin Susana, who right now In only 10 starts this season, has a 3.63 ERA in 39 and 2/3 innings pitched. He has only 2 home runs given up, a 1.46 whip, thanks to a pretty high walk rate, 24 walks in 39 and 2/3 innings pitched, but 60 strikeouts. This guy has some of the best stuff down in the minor leagues. I think it goes Sakura, number 1, at least for the Nationals, and then it's not even close, it's Jarlin Susana. Both those guys combined are insanely, incredibly talented guys who will be in this Nationals rotation sometime soon. Unfortunately for Sakura, it's going to take a little bit longer. You're likely looking at least 2027 until he makes his MLB debut. But Susana has a 75 grade fastball, one of the best active fastballs down in the minor leagues, and also with a devastating 60 grade slider that, in my opinion, is much better than what scouts give it credit for. I actually saw this chart yesterday, and I think it kind of puts things into perspective here. Jarlin Susana, his fielding independent pitching numbers are actually really good. And right now, it's at a 309 in the 87th percentile. And oh, by the way, these calculations were done before yesterday's game, in which, again, he went 4 2/3 and looked really good, striking out, I think, 6 of his first 8 batters. Like, he was dominant in yesterday's ball game. So I look at him and, this is someone that you should be watching every 5 days. Jarlin Susana is going to make a big, big difference for this team eventually. And again, if you look at some of the percentiles of where he stands, this guy is really, really special. Now, again, one thing that I think kind of stands out with Susana is his strike percentage. Right now, he's in the 53rd percentile as far as minor league arms go. That has got to improve. But think of it this way for a second. Even with all of his struggles so far, again, think about it. He's barely just a tick above average for the amount of strikes that he throws. Yet he still has a 3.6 ERA. And last year had a 4.34 ERA, but even then, that was a brutal start that he had to begin the year. And then he just lit everything on fire and was incredible in the second half of last season. But think of it. He's walked 24 guys in his first 39 and 2/3 innings pitch. That's an absurd amount of walks. But even then, when you see him not walking the yard, that's when you see the best version of Jarlin Susana. And honestly, you've seen that over his past few starts now. This is someone that we can bank on being in the rotation next season, number 1. But number 2, potentially being a very good elite starting pitcher for this team. And the fact that he is just 21 years old right now is pretty jarring to me. Because this guy doesn't turn 22 until next March, right before opening day. He will be in the big leagues at some point in 2026. And hopefully beyond. And by the way, I don't think this is going to happen. I think it's way too early to even talk about him failing at this point. But if he does fail as a starter, can you imagine a 6'7", 102, 103 mile per hour flamethrower that sits 99 to 100 coming out of the bullpen at Nationals Park to be your closing pitcher? Jarlin Susana has such a bright future. It's like not even close. This guy will be an all-star eventually. And it's either going to be as a starting pitcher or it's going to be as a disgusting, filthy closing pitcher. And quite frankly, there's a part of me that, like, kind of jokingly here, wishes he was a closer just to see that entrance. Do you know how intimidating that must be to see a 6'7" kid come out there from Nationals Park, the right field bullpen, jogging out with the lights going red, and you have Jarlin Susana with whatever his walk-up music is, pumping 101, 102 with a 90 mile per hour slider? Do you know how devastating that must be for guys like Pete Alonso who'll have to go up against him, or Bryce Harper? I'm excited for Jarlin Susana and what this guy can provide. Because again, he is not just some throw that name out there prospect. This guy is legit. He is really good. And again, He's going to help this Nationals team hopefully win sometime next season, and I simply cannot wait for that. So again, Jarlin Susana is back in Double-A. Yesterday going 4 2/3, touching 102 miles per hour multiple times, and in 2 of his strikeout pitches. The kid is back. He's still throwing gas, and he's going to help the Nationals win at some point next season. So thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. So next, let's talk about this Giants NATS series. The Nationals get ready for their West Coast swing. And yes, it might be a little bit of a tricky series, but fortunately enough for the Nationals, those Giants, they have been struggling lately. We'll talk about that after this. And yes, it is time to tell you guys about our very good friends over at PrizePicks. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. And preseason is already heating up, and college football isn't far behind. It's a perfect time to lock in your season-long more or less picks for the 2025 football season, all before week 1 kicks off. Whether you've got your eye on big name QBs or breakout running backs, PrizePicks makes it easy to get in the game. And I've already made a few of my season-long picks. Josh Allen for more than 27.5 touchdowns feels like a solid shot. And also Jaden Daniels over or more on his touchdown total. I love that bet. And also maybe you're taking Commanders rookie, who you will see tonight, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, more on his touchdowns, maybe more on his yards. He could be the starting running back after all. And fortunately enough, we get to watch him tonight go up against the New England Patriots. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks, run your game. And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. So the bad Nationals make their way up to San Francisco tonight for a 3-game weekend series. And this will be a very, very intriguing series because, again, both teams have been relatively bad, like as of late. The Nationals, we've covered it, don't need to get into it, and really more than that. But then it becomes the San Francisco Giants, who was actually one of the best teams in all of baseball earlier on this season. And then you may remember they made a jarring move trading for Rafael Devers, who is under contract for, I believe, the next 8 seasons at this point. And ever since that move, they have completely fallen off. Like, this team was at one point in time a surefire playoff team. And really since then, they have had a losing record, number 1. And Rafael Devers has not looked anywhere near what he was in Boston. He has been struggling immensely there. They have, tried to get him to play first base. It sometimes works out, sometimes doesn't. The first weekend he was there with the Giants, he blew off the infield coach on the first time meeting him and never showed up to his first base workout. And not only did he do that once, he did it twice. There's something about Rafael Devers. Listen, this guy is one of the best hitters in all of baseball. I've always said he's a top 10 hitter in the game. I've had that argument. I think he is incredible, an incredible talent. But right now, is there a bigger diva in the game not showing up to your first base workout after you say, I will play anywhere they ask me to, and you don't show up to the workout? That is weird. And I don't care what anyone says. This team right now, the way that the Giants are constructed, they better make it to the postseason this year. And this is Buster Posey. He's the new president of baseball ops in town with the Giants. I think he's done a really good job. I think the trade that they made to get Devers, they gave up not really much at all, considering you're getting a top hitter in the game at 27 years old, 28 years old. And he is certainly super talented for this team. And he's going to help them eventually. But right now, man, has it been a bunch of what. It has been BS, if you know what I'm saying, because that has just been bad. But the Nationals, they play a game tonight. Let's stop talking about Rafael Devers, because the Washington Nationals, again, you are going to have to, number one, just put up some competitive games. You are the last game tonight. We still do not know who the Giants will be starting, but you do have Jake Irvin on the bump tonight. I would like to see a big breakout performance by him, because I feel like it's just been a long time since we've really seen him dominate a game. Then tomorrow, you have Brad Lord, who has been one of the Nationals' intriguing young arms all season long, going up against Carson Wisenhunt, a 24-year-old second-round pick out of 2022 out of East Carolina. Only making his third start of this season. First two starts looked pretty good. And then Sunday for the Washington Nationals, this is where it gets a little interesting. You have our guy, your guy, everybody's guy, Mackenzie Gore, going up against Justin Verlander. Actually, relatively similar numbers. Justin Verlander has a 4.29 ERA and a 1-8 record on the season. Meanwhile, Mackenzie Gore has the exact same ERA, a 4.29 ERA with a 4-12 record on the season. Not awful ERAs there. Gore has been a lot better than what his ERA indicates right now, but still, Justin Verlander, you look at him, only one win over what? 20-something starts for the Giants this season. Actually, it's 19 starts. This will be his 20th start this weekend. But some things just don't work out. And right now, Justin Verlander, as a 49-year-old, not literally, he's in his 40s, forgot how old he is. We'll see if the Nationals can take advantage of that. But I will say this, tonight, Max Scherzer against Clayton Kershaw, just the second time ever those two pitchers will go neck and neck and go against each other. That will be a must-watch TV game tonight at Dodger Stadium. That'll be a really cool one to watch. So thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Good week of Locked On Nationals pods. If you guys have missed it, we have talked a lot about this rebuild, the new direction in which the Nationals are going, and also yesterday's show talking about Cade Cavalli and just how good it was to see him come back strong and healthy. So if you missed it, go back and check out yesterday's show. But until then, have a good one. Enjoy some late night Nats, and go Nats.